I don't know how they do it, but the NBA finds new ways to embarrass themselves.
Sources tell me that the Clippers Raptors trade centered around Kawhi Leonard will not be complete until the Clippers are done with their investigation with the NBA into the aspiration situation.
Adam Silver reaching new lows as apparently the reason why this trade cannot be completed. Man, I just cannot believe it.
Earlier this week, the Raptors and Clippers were set to have a trade call to finalize the deal that sent Kawhi Leonard back to Toronto for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and draft assets. But the league, I'm told, ended up delaying that call and now has decided that the teams will not be moving forward unless the Raptors assume the risk of potential outcomes that come from that investigation.
So you mean to tell me the Raptors would assume the risk for the fallout of an investigation that has literally nothing to do with us? If anything, we're the aggrieved party. We're the victims of a crime that was committed by the Clippers here.
I started this investigation that launched all of this 10 months ago.
This is all spanning from that one Pablo Torre investigation that started off 10 months ago that the NBA started investigating. I'm pretty sure around that time, September, October of 2025. It is currently July of 2026, and I cannot repeat this any more than I have already have. The NBA has had 10 months to do this shit. Over 300 days to investigate this. And they have done squat. Nothing.
Published 11 episodes, found a whistleblower complaint naming the Clippers that was submitted under penalty of perjury, found money in, money out, financial statements, documents from inside of this company Aspiration in which the Clippers co-owner Dennis Wong is putting in $2 million 9 days before Aspiration pays Kawhi Leonard while the company is otherwise in default. And I can go on and on.
And you're telling me now we gotta wait for this shit to end so that the Raptors won't assume the risk of the fallout of the verdict that the Clippers are supposed to be punished for. We're not supposed to be punished for this shit.
This is such a pile of bullshit. I understand that there's an active investigation that's still ongoing. By the way, how long is it going to take for the NBA and the firm that they've hired to conclude this investigation? It has been over 300 days since the firm was hired and started investigating into this situation. This is not some sort of like, we're not exactly investigating Pablo Escobar here. Like, let's wrap this shit up, okay? This is actually incredibly irresponsible by the NBA to even take this long to have any sort of jurisdiction. Let me wait a whole goddamn All-Star weekend in LA.
Pablo Torre, okay, he's one guy that I don't have anything bad to say about the guy, even though, you know, he can be cringy, he has millennial humor, yada yada. But guess what? What he's doing is still worthy of being talked about in the ways that I've been talking about it since September. This is something that the NBA should have handled way long ago. They let the Clippers host the All-Star game. They let this all go. The names he's listing out, Clippers owners, Clippers deputy owner. Why the fuck are the Raptors getting implicated in this? Just because we're trading for the guy that apparently the league office said yes to. They say, yeah, you can go and, you know, talk to the Clippers. You can go and make this trade happen. The trade gets done. Nope. The NBA says, nope. You're going to have to assume the risk. Fuck out of here, bro.
Over the last several weeks, the Clippers have engaged with multiple teams around Kawhi Leonard trade talks. None of those teams operated with any restriction that they would be dealing with any fallout after a deal being completed for Kawhi Leonard. But now that the Raptors and Clippers were set to finalize this deal, do the trade call with the NBA has essentially paused that conversation until the end of their investigation.
This is the part that gets me, bro. So basically, when the trade talks were happening, okay, the league office was probably like, y'all could talk to the Clippers, you know, and don't worry, you're not going to get punished for anything that we, you know, find on Kawhi and Aspiration, yada, yada. And now they're basically turning face. They're two-facing us, bro. This guy Kawhi is literally in Toronto right now. This guy's already been in the building. He's already was at the Kyle Lowry press conference. I feel like I'm getting punked. I feel like this is a prank show, bro. AD, are you filming this? Is this part of your show? I'm getting sick and tired of getting sick and tired of the NBA. They're holding me hostage. Yo. Adam Silver, bro. Please, bro. Please, all I'm asking for you is to make this trade happen so that we can just move on with our fucking lives, bro. You know what I hate the most, bro? is that the Raptors are basically being held hostage here. They can't even do any more moves because this move is uncertain. It's in limbo. In limbo, we're supposed to have an offseason where we regroup, retool around Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard, and we contend for a championship. We can't even make moves right now. All these other teams can make these moves. All these other trades can be made official, but not ours. Do you see how fucked up this sounds, bro? We did nothing wrong. If anything, we were the victims, okay? Because in 2019, they poached him from us, probably with some shady deals under the table. And guess what? When the NBA looked into that shit, they said there was no evidence of any wrongdoing. And I'm expected to believe that the NBA is going to somehow punish the Clippers for all this crap. I want to see Fun Guy in my city, but the Clippers are making it as hard as possible for him to be here. Even though he's already in the city. He's already been in the practice facility. He's already seen Kyle Lowry's face. I want to see Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard play together. And it's not happening. And why? Why is it not happening? I'm actually getting pissed. I hate him or love him, but Pablo Torre has made such a stink about this whole thing that the NBA, there's no excuses, bro. The NBA had so much time on their hands to basically investigate this and, put out their verdict before even the All-Star break. But no, Steve Ballmer, I guess, because he's the richest owner in the NBA, is able to get away with a lot of this shit. And they were trying to get the Raptors to be on the hook for this. It's ridiculous. I actually cannot believe the NBA is actually telling us that the Raptors would assume the risk if this trade were to go through. This is some bullshit. What the fuck did we do? This is a grand gaslighting moment, bro. I'm being gaslit. The whole world's being gaslit into thinking that the Clippers are going to get away with this shit. We're being gaslit into thinking this investigation will be done by next week when the Board of Governors meeting will happen. And this dumb narrative that Kawhi is going to Toronto because he wants to escape the RICO and the USA. They can't go to Canada. Yes, they can. We have extradition treaties with the US. Canada's not the place to go to escape. Literally, the FBI, whoever the fuck, could just come here and take him and put him in court. Like, bro, there's no point in Kawhi Leonard going to Toronto to escape. That's like one of the worst places to go to escape the country. Like, are we serious? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? But again, because Steve Ballmer is the richest owner in the NBA, Adam Silver wants to be careful with this guy. People were saying Kawhi Leonard's contract was going to be voided. I guess Adam Silver, he's trying to take out his vengeance on Toronto. I don't know what we did to this guy in his past life, but look, man, let me tell you something, bro. We're getting screwed over yet again from this whole Clippers debacle. One of the most incompetent, poorly run organizations is once again trying to sabotage the Raptors. And I get it. I'd be bitter too if I had Kawhi for 7 years and the Raptors still somehow won more playoff series with him in 1 year than we have in the duration of Kawhi being here. Like, I would be pissed too. So I'm going to try to, sabotage the Raptors in turn. Like, bro, they've already screwed us over in 2019. Now they're trying to screw us over again. Look, bro, let me tell you something, bro. Adam Silver, bro. Most of this shit will be forgiven if you do the right thing and punish the Clippers. Clipper fans are already coping, telling us, oh, you know what, this means, probably that, we're not going to get punished that much. It's taken them 10 months to get to this point. I doubt there's going to be any punishments. Look, bro, a fine is not going to really, affect his bottom line, him being Ballmer. But what's going to happen is that, hopefully some picks get taken back from this Clippers team. The Raptors can, get compensated because we're the aggrieved victims again of the situation. It's ridiculous. And look, this is sour grapes. Okay, yes, the Raptor fan crying about his team not getting Kawhi. I think one thing that might be setting the NBA off is recently a report by Shams talking about how Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors try to reach on an agreement on an extension that's coming up. And in that tweet, Shams said that, Kawhi was being represented by some different names. Now, a big problem for Kawhi Leonard was that a lot of the shady stuff that was happening was being done by his uncle Dennis Robertson, who was representing him as an agent, and his name now is omitted from this recent report from Shams. I wonder why. I wonder why that is. And I'm sure the NBA probably wants to hold both Kawhi and Uncle Dennis accountable as soon as possible, seeing that Kawhi now is going to agree to another contract extension, this time without Uncle Dennis. So the punishment needs to be given out to whoever is responsible as soon as possible. But do I have faith that the NBA is going to do right by the Raptors, do right by everybody involved? No, not really. Which is why I'm actually pissed that it's getting to a point where the Raptors are getting fucking shafted again. Now, I'm glad that the Raptors held off on getting this trade to push through. I think the Raptors are being smart here by letting this thing drag on because, quite frankly, it's not their responsibility. Even though this is hampering their offseason, it's making it harder for them to add pieces around this team now. Look, man, it's honestly, at this point, I feel like the Raptors are in a position where they can hold off on making moves. And honestly, they'd still be in a better place knowing that, if Kawhi does get punished, if the Clippers do get punished, if Kawhi gets suspended briefly, guess what? The Raptors will still retain Kawhi. And not just that, if a suspension does occur, I think Blake Murphy even tweeted this. He's a great account to follow if you want to know more about the Raptors, and their cap sheet, things like that. Look, honestly, this probably is a scenario. I don't know if he's actually saying this will happen, but he's saying this is possible. A suspension would come with a 50% tax credit, which gets the Raptors far enough under the apron to fill out the roster. So if anything, if Kawhi does get suspended, which I think is more likely than his contract just getting voided, at that point the trade would go through. We would actually be able to use more money to fill out the roster. And honestly, bro, do I expect this to drag on up until September? No. I think the NBA spokesperson that said that they don't have a specific timeline and that they're expected to finalize their work in the coming weeks. Honestly, bro, that in the coming weeks could mean up to either August or September. It could mean late July, bro. Honestly, I'm not taking too much stock in the wording here. I just think that's them trying to give themselves enough room, and hopefully there could be a fucking resolution around that point. Please, NBA, bro. Please, bro. I'm tired of this fucking bullshit. All right, that's it. I'm done. Hopefully I don't have to talk about this shit anymore. All right, peace out.